Hello, my dear friends. I'm Lieutenant Roshni Shah, and I welcome you all to our channel Best Notes Tutorials. The novel that I have chosen for today's class is very important as far as examinations are concerned. So, I want you all to be very attentive in jotting down important points that I'll ask you to underline or memorize for MCQs. So, let's begin with the novel. The novel's name is A Passage to India. A Passage to India. Alright, so this is written by E.M. Forster. We are going, there's slight spelling mistake out here. It should be Forster. So this is written by E.M. Forster, and here we are taken to colonial rule. When the novel begins, we find our beloved country under Britishers' rule. So how Indians and Britishers lived here during that phase. We have to see that the people who were in official task, those who were lecturers, they were not taken away from their posts altogether. All right, so how was bonding between Britishers and Indians? Was it enmity all the time, or it was friendly relationship as well? So let us try to learn that. First of all, please note down the year of publication of this novel, and that is 1924. All right, but the writing part, that means the starting of writing of this novel was already done in the year 1913. It took so many years because he started with part initial part of this novel in 1913, and after his second visit to India, he was able to complete the novel. All right, so that is why it took more years for the publication. But when it was published, it had become a bestseller, and everybody knows like how important it is now for all the students. Friends, please note down another important thing, and that is from which work this title was inspired. So it was inspired by the work of Walt Whitman, Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. Okay, Leaves of Grass. This is a poetry collection of Walt Whitman, who was an American poet. You must have read "Oh Captain, My Captain." It was written by Walt Whitman only. So we find poetic collection here in Leaves of Grass, and from here only the title A Passage to India was inspired. Okay, so please understand very meticulously that E.M. Forster was inspired by Walt Whitman's Leaf of Grass to choose the title for his novel, and this novel was dedicated to Aligarh Muslim University's Sir Syed Rais Mahmud Ali Khan. Alright, it was Aligarh Muslim University. I am writing in short. Please, you write down the full name. Aligarh Muslim University's Sir Syed Ras Muhammad Ali Khan. It was dedicated to him. Okay, let's move ahead. Friends, before going into the novel, we need to understand the background, and let us start with the first point. Here we see E.M. Forster's A Passage to India emerges against the backdrop of the British Raj in India. So, novel takes us to British Raj in India, alright, when India was not independent and the Britishers ruled according to their whims and fancies. We know that in notice board it was written Indians and dogs were not allowed inside any Britishers house, Britishers palace, Britishers offices, etc. So this shows that how much degraded our status was in that time. Next, Forster, who lived in India during the early 20th century, was exposed to the intricate dynamics of colonial rule. See, Forster was, when he came to India, he was able to understand that what are the traits of colonial rule, how they are ruling in India, all right, how people are being treated, how Indian people are being treated, all right. So he understood, and then he was able to write the novel. This period was marked by the zenith of British Empire. Zenith means heights of success. Of course, Britishers, by hook or by crook, they attained success in governing India for 200 years, but We also know that how much struggle they had to face, all right, because there were so many strong leaders, there were so many strong kingdoms who fought really, who gave tough competition to Britishers. Okay, let's continue. This period was marked by zenith of British Empire, and India was a critical colony in its expansive domination. Now, see, we know history about Britishers, colonizing act rather. All right, wherever they went, they extracted the resources, they destroyed, divided the people. All right, and then they came back to Britain. Okay, same thing was done in India as well. In India, they remained and they came here for rich resources of India, spices, all right. Then comes the culture also, the books, all right, everything they have, extracted from India. And gradually, what they have sown the seed of division, clash, discrimination, cultural discrimination, language discrimination, all right, discrimination because of their status, etc. So all these, evils, social evils were started from British rule. Before that, we lived in harmony, and it has, in the books also we find proof of that. Okay, let's move ahead. Forster's personal experiences and observation of the complexities of colonialism played a pivotal role in shaping the narrative. Now, see, narration becomes easier when somebody practically believes, experiences what they are going to write, what they're going to explain to the audience. So when E.M. Forster came to India, he was able to understand situation much more meticulously than by anybody's explanation. So personally he came, and whatever was his observation, he expressed through this novel. So I hope background is clear to you all. Let's talk about the theme. First theme is colonialism. We all know that what happened when India became a colony. All right, first of all, it was done for just for the spices trade and commerce, but later on, it was colonized. India was colonized, and everything was misused. People, resources, then knowledge, etc. So Indians were treated like slaves, all right, and for so many years they tried to, so many centuries they tried to extract the traditional way of living of Indians, and they were made inferior. They were made to believe that they were inferior to Britishers, and they had instilled this mindset that things which are white are best for people, and that is why we started running after white throughout our life. And right now also the same thing is being happening. We are not able to respect our language because we feel glad when we are able to speak fluent English. And then if somebody is talking about Hindi or in any other language, they are criticized and they are not given importance. Fortunately, the scenario is changing now, and I am so happy that people are well versed both in both the languages, one in their mother tongue and another one in English, which is a commercially required language. Okay, but we should not prioritize English upon mother tongue. All right, now see, when India was colonized, we know what was the situation. All right, Britishers ruled with power, and their arrogance, their ignorance of problem of Indians were seen. All right, and obviously Indians were not happy at all. Colonies were made, even our resources, trees, spices, even knowledgeable people were sent to Britain for enlarging their knowledge, giving more information about different things so that Britain can benefit. So all these things were done um, when India was colonized. So first thing is colonialism. Let's move to the next one. Next theme is cultural clash and misunderstanding. Alright, the novel clearly shows clash between Western culture and Eastern culture. Alright, we see this clash in the between East and West in the novel through Indian people who are holding good position and Britishers who are also working in India and they are at good position as well. All right, so this shows that whether Indians are at higher position or lower position, they are treated in a bad way by Britishers. It's not necessary that only slaves were treated in a rude way. It was people like doctor, engineer, all right, everybody were treated like dirt by Britishers. So here we see cultural clash and misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, why this word is used? Because we should not judge looking at the surface level. All right, sometimes we need to go into the depth of the scenario to understand what is the truth. We should not randomly consider that this is right, sorry, this is the story and that is the ending. All right, unless and until we see it through our eyes, all right, we should not believe. So that is why misunderstanding is mentioned here. Cultural clash, east and west cultures clash, and misunderstanding of Indian people and Indian people with Britishers and vice versa. This theme is very important, individual versus society. For this, I'll read all the points. See, individual versus society, this is another theme. The author Forster looks at how characters deal with their own feelings when society expects certain things from them. See, in the novel, something happens. Okay, something happens, and individual decision and society's decision gets clashed. All right, because individual decision was different and society's decision was different. Aziz is one of the characters. We will learn about him later on. Edla as well afterwards. Okay, but you just remember that individuality of Aziz and individuality of Edla was with them, but when something had happened, it was society who to forced to come to the conclusion, okay, which Aziz could not do. Aziz represents the conflict faced by many colonized people torn between their Indian identity and Western influences. Now, see here, Aziz was alleged for misbehaving with Adla. All right, but here that was not truth. All right, that was not truth. Indian identity. That means Mr. Aziz was Indian doctor. Okay, very skilled Indian doctor, and he was he had a very good Western friend, okay, Fielding. So he was swayed away by Fielding's words. People believed that, but it was not so. You remember this much only. I'll be explaining in summary explanation everything. Edla's journey reflects the clash between her personal values and what society expects of English women during that time. See, sometimes we do something because of the force of the society. We don't actually want to do. We don't actually accept the norms of society, which is bad for us. Okay, and there is no heroism in doing something which is believed by, which is followed by society randomly. Okay, after being educated, after knowing the fact, we should do away with some evils of our society as well. But here, when individual identity was questioned, she had to, she was in dilemma. What is my identity? Should I believe like an individual or as a representative of England? Okay, but please remember, whatever novel we read, whatever poetries we read, there will be symbols for different broader representation. All right, see, like Aziz here is representative of India, Edla is representative of Britain. Okay, so on. It is not that one person is dealing with one particular incident, and it is not personal, it is representation of their country. The story vividly shows the tension between being true to oneself and fitting into societal expectation. Now, see, whatever wrong thing we do, we know we cannot cheat ourselves, and whatever good things we do, for that also we have record. All right, we need not to tell it to everyone that today I helped somebody. All right, this is the good feeling which I have for poor people and all that. What I want to say is that whatever good things we have, we should keep it with us, and we don't need stamp of society. We don't require society's confirmation that yes, you did so and so, so you are a good person. All right, so here we see what I should be confident about that, leaving society's expectation aside. Let's come to a very important topic, and that is character analysis. The main protagonist is Mr. Aziz, and he is a doctor. Okay, so we call him Dr. Aziz. Dr. Aziz emerges as a multifaceted character whose experience form the narrative's core. Now, see, it is Mr. Aziz who speaks, and who speaks with people, that gives us some idea about him. And maximum uh, time duration, we find him talking to himself, um, calculating, meditating over his own actions. So here we see him to be multifaceted character. That means sometimes he is something, sometimes he is something else, but this is some for his identity. Okay. His initial enthusiasm and hospitality towards Britishers are tempered by the harsh reality of racial prejudice. Now, see, as I told you, Ajiz had a very good British friend, but because of maltreatment by one of the English lady, alright, he had to change his entire perspective. And not only that, alright, his friend starts helping that girl who had alleged Dr. Aziz for molestation. So here we see the enthusiasm of Dr. Aziz. That means the way he used to welcome Britishers was not same after he was put before court for the explanation uh, for something which he did not do at all. Ajiz's character becomes a poignant embodiment of the impact of colonialism. Poignant means something sad and something related to memory. Okay, embodiment means representation. So it is sad representation of the impact of colonialism. What colonialism did? There is nothing, according to, in my opinion, there is nothing which colonialism has given, okay, which is positive, okay, which we did not follow and Britishers gave. I don't find anything at all. Now, this is the impact, as I told to you, about division, distinction, language barrier, then rift between communities, etc., was the gift of colonialism to India. Okay, so this is what we get highlighted in the story. On the individual psyche, and his transformation reflects the broader struggle against oppression. Now, see, Aziz was easygoing person in the starting of the novel, but later on, when tragedy happens to his life, all right, he was not able to go back to his previous state. He started looking Britishers with uh, you know questionable eye. Okay, he wanted to uh, be away from Britishers. He do not want to be with his own friend who were Britishers anymore. Another important character in the novel is Adla Quested. Adla serves as a conduit for the exploration of cultural misunderstanding. Okay, she is representation of Britishers, alright, who used to believe that Indians are attracted towards Britishers. Okay, because Indians are black in color, but Britishers are white. So Britishers always believed that Indians who are black get attracted to English ladies. Now, see, through Edla, we understand the entire people of Britain. Alright, how young ladies treated Indian people. She had put allegation on Aziz, alright, Dr. Aziz, who was skilled doctor, that he had molested her, which was allegation, which was just an allegation. It was not truth at all. But because of this situation, Aziz had to undergo traumatic situation which she could not understand. And when she understood, it was very late. Her journey from England to India is not solely a physical voyage, but a symbolic counter between two worlds. Now, see, when Edla came to India, all right, it shows that entire, two worlds are getting mixed. Alright, the traits of Britain is being borne by Edla, and through Edla, we understand that British people are always like this. Alright, they want to enslave Indians, they want to get their work done by Indians, because they are, Indians are very simple living person, they are very foolish according to Britishers. So they are easily, they are gullible people, they are easily misused. All right, they are easily made to believe what they wanted to make them believe. Edla's introspection and the aftermath of the Malabar incident illuminates the internal conflict provoked by cross cultural interaction. Now, see, here we see after the incident of Malabar, okay, in Malabar caves only, Edla thought that Mr. Aziz is trying to molest her, but that was not truth. This was her hallucination, okay, because cave was dark, and she was not getting enough oxygen, and maybe that is why she was not able to recognize who was that. It could be somebody else, or it could be her hallucination as well. Okay, she had imagined something which she thought that it might happen. Okay, so what happens in Malabar cave, she thinks that Mr. Aziz is trying to molest her, and this shows that but later on, when the case goes to the court, okay, in court everybody was in favor of Mr. Aziz except few, okay, except few. So those who believed in Mr. Aziz, they said that it is not possible at all. Edla, this lady Edla, is to be punished because Mr. Aziz, Dr. Aziz, have not done anything that she believes, that people believe. Okay, okay, next is Ronnie Hislop. Ronnie Hislop, as the representative of the colonial administration, Ronnie embodies the conventional colonial mindset. Now, Ronnie is just like a true British officer. He hates Indians, alright. He knows that Indians are black, they are dirty, and they are always in quest of beautiful British ladies. So he symbolizes true Britisher. His strained relationship with Edla mirrors the broader challenges faced by those grappling with the contradiction of colonialism. Now, see, Ronnie and Edla, all right, they are engaged, and Edla's mindset changes because she does not like Ronnie. Okay, she does not love Ronnie at all, but she has to get married to Ronnie because both of them are Britishers. So here, when Adla hates Ronnie for different reasons, we understand that the mindset is changing. Alright, mindset is changing even after it is so much challenging. It is changing for good cause. Now let's move to the next character, and he is Mr. Fielding. Mr. Fielding is a connecting bridge. Okay, it is a bridge. He is representing as a bridge to Britishers and Indians relationship. Okay, Fielding serves as a bridge between British and Indian characters. Now he is the one who is a good Britisher in the novel. His willingness to engage with Indians on a personal level and treat them as equal sets him apart from many of the compatriots. Now see, Mr. Fielding was a Britisher, alright, but still he liked Mr. Aziz, and like Mr. Aziz, other Indians as well. Alright, he wanted to know people and he wanted to spend time with them, and he was the one who is highlighted after Mr. Aziz. Fielding's character represents a more open-minded approach to cross-cultural relationship, although he is not immune to the societal pressure of the time. Now see, Fielding, though he was a Britisher, he was not forced to hate Indians. Okay, as this used to happen. Britishers used to think they are superior, and Indians were neglected. They were treated like dirt, as I have already told you. But Fielding was not of that kind. Alright, he wanted to cross. He wanted to understand cross cultural relationship. Okay, what Indians believe and what Britishers can do for Indian people. So here we see societal pressure is aside, and Mr. Fielding, okay, Mr. Fielding is immune. He is habituated to have such kind of situation. Friends, let's move to the summary now. And before I do that, let me tell you that summary is divided into three parts: mosque, caves, and temple. Okay, mosque. What happens in mosque? Let us see. Now see, here the main character, Mr. Aziz, is, he is having evening tea. He is spending time with his friend Hamidullah and Muhammad Ali. Please keep in mind, it was Dr. Aziz who was spending evening tea time with friend Hamidullah and Mahmood Ali. I'm writing here also, Mr. Aziz. Mr. Aziz, Dr. Aziz also you can say. Dr. Aziz had his friend Hamidullah, Hamidullah and Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali with him. Okay, and all three friends were discussing about so many topics, because obviously when India was under the rule of Britishers, so colonial things were being discussed during that tea party. I mean evening tea. See, the topic which they are discussing here during their tea time is extremely crucial, because that forms the theme of the novel. How Britishers treat India or Indians, how Britishers treat Indians, and whether they are justified in doing that. That is being discussed in this evening tea time. See, they were discussing that how people change, how Britishers had come to India and they were polite, and we all know that they had come to India as traders. Okay, so when they understood that our country people are gullible, they can be easily, taken under their shed, then they started their planning, and gradually we fell into the trap of Britishers. So obviously, elderly people, after getting job, they will not have any other work, so they'll start discussing these topics only. So they were discussing the same now as well. Western part of the world and eastern part of the world, both of them were being discussed here in tea party. I'm telling you, it's not tea party huge one, it is evening tea time which people share while people have while having chatting with their friends in nukkad, etc. See, when they were discussing, all right, it was doing the discussion was at their level, these three people's level only. All right, Mr. Aziz, Hamidullah and Muhammad Ali, these three friends were discussing these topics. Suddenly a messenger appears, all right, and he says that senior doctor surgeon Mr. Calendar, please remember, it was Mr. Calendar who calls Mr. Aziz. Okay, Mr. Aziz was called by Mr. Calendar in the novel. And Mr. Aziz was not liking this at all, because he was having good conversation with his friends and he was having good time with his beloved friends only. So he didn't want to go, but he had to. When he was called by Mr. Calendar, Surgeon Calendar, okay, what happens? He comes, and in between he becomes slightly late. Okay, his car gets punctured and therefore a tonga was given to him. So in that tonga somehow he reaches to the place of surgeon, but to his disappointment he did not find Mr. Calendar there, because he had left before his arrival only, to which address he has left no information about that. So Mr. Ajiz, he contemplates that how wonderful time he was spending with his friends, and because of that messenger he had to come to this uh, Calendar's house, but there is no trace of him. He becomes so much angry here, but he could not do anything. But more disappointment was added when Mrs. Calendar, all right, Mrs. Calendar, who was very much there at home, takes the tonga of Mr. Ajiz without permission. Okay, usually what do? When we use others' stuffs, we take permission, right? Then only we take it. But here we see that an Indian does not need any importance. Therefore, Mrs. Calendar, without permission, she took Ajiz's property and therefore she went away. Alright, so here we get to understand that Britishers enjoyed upper hand, alright, and it is seen in each and every activity of daily life. And now Mr. Ajiz has become so much frustrated, irritated, because he could not do anything against these two people. Alright, so in order to have peace of mind, he goes to a mosque. Alright, mosque, and then he was contemplating
about the incident, that why this happened, all right, and all that. So when he was contemplating in peace in mosque, two ladies appear, all right, two ladies appear, and he thinks that these two ladies are coming inside the mosque with slippers, okay, with footwear. So he tries to interrupt them, that stop there, open your shoes outside and then only enter. But when they come closer, he happens to see that both the ladies are not wearing footwear at all. Now he becomes slightly guilty, all right, because he scolded them. The lady who started interacting with Mr. Aziz was Mrs. Moore, and she explained that it is Edla who will be getting married to Ronnie Herslop, and Ronnie is magistrate of Chandarpur. All right, and Chandarpur is the key place in entire novel. Edla had come to India to know that how is Ronnie, what is his behavior, and what are his traits, because before marriage she wanted to ascertain that Ronnie is perfect for her. Friends, then we see Mr. Turden, the collector of Chandrapur place, all right, he throws a party to bridge the gap between Britishers and Indians. Okay, that in that party, people, eminent people of Indian society were called so that they can understand each other, and whatever misunderstandings are being
Structure.
created, okay, that can be sorted out. Now everybody goes to that party, okay, but the purpose of this party was not fulfilled, because there also there was groupism between Britishers and Indians. In this party we get to see Professor Godbole, Mr. Aziz, and then Mrs. Moore, of course, Adla, Ronnie, okay, etc. So this was a lavish party in the novel. See, friends, the party's purpose was not fulfilled, of course, because Indians were conversing with Indian group and Britishers were conversing with Britishers group. Okay, but in this party, one thing had happened which was positive, and that was meeting of Mr. Aziz with Cyril Fielding. Okay, you can say Cyril Fielding also. Now he was a Britisher, and he was the principal of government college in Chandrapur. And out of other Britishers, he was a genuine person. He was a human being first and then a Britisher. And he liked, Mr. Aziz liked the mentality of Fielding. Therefore, both of them became friends for now and good friends afterwards. With this, the first part of the novel ends. Now we will switch to another part, that is caves, which is the best part of the novel. Okay, and here lies the main content as well. In the second part as well, we see a party which is being thrown by Britisher, okay, and it was a lavish party again to bridge the gap between both the parties like Indians and Britishers, okay. But Aziz, Mr. Aziz did not go because it was his wife's death anniversary, okay. So he just says that he is not feeling well, so he'll not attend that party, but actually he was not willing to go because of his wife, who was very dear to him when she was alive, and even after his death, even after her death, he has not married again. When Mrs. Moore knew about the absence of Dr. Aziz, then both of them, Edla and Mrs. Moore, came to the house of Mr. Aziz. And Mr. Aziz was very happy that somebody from Britishers came to my house just because I did not appear in that party. So he was feeling good, but at the same time, Ronnie appears. All right, and he starts talking ill about Mr. Aziz and other Indians as well, that Mrs. Moore and Edla should not mix with Indians because they are not good people. They are dirty and they are always angry towards Britishers, and they can harm Britishers because they are disappointed. Here we see with Mrs. Moore and Edla, even Fielding had come, And when Ronnie comes and starts scolding his mother, Mrs. Moore, and his fiancee, Edla, all right, it was Mr. Aziz and Fielding who left back, all right, after Ronnie takes these two ladies away with him. Here, a planning was made, okay, to go to Malabar Caves. Malabar Caves, I hope you all know about this. So, Malabar Caves, this is the most important, content in this novel, because in Malabar Caves only the incident to Adla happened. Now, before that, what had happened? Mr. Fielding could not come, and Goat Bole as well could not come because both of them had missed the train. So, they started their journey with Mr. Aziz, Mrs. Moore, and Edla. Okay, three of them started moving to caves, and when Mrs. Moore entered inside the cave, she thought it is haunted kind of thing. Okay, she could not bear the darkness of the cave, and therefore instantly she came out. Edla and Mr. Aziz goes inside the cave, and while they were roaming inside the cave, and Edla asked how many wives Mr. Aziz have, because according to her perception, according to her experience and knowledge towards Indians, okay, it was believed that Indians, especially Muslims, they have so many wives, so many children, etc. So it was not the case with Mr. Aziz, because he loved his wife dearly. So even after his death, he did not marry anybody else. So this shows his devotion towards wife. So what does it highlight? That all the Indians are not like others who marry 4 5 wives, okay, and then bear children numerously. So here it was a lesson to Edla that she needs to cross check, she needs to know more about people of India. Whatever she has, whatever information she has prior in her head, that might not be true. She needs to understand and accept and update her knowledge. Aziz becomes so much agitated with this question because for him it was humiliation. Here, Mr. Aziz was hurt, and therefore he did not want to be with Edla. Therefore, he came out of the cave. Now, Edla was alone inside the cave, but when he was outside and he was thinking about what Edla said, okay, and how hurt he was because of her question, so he hears that Edla is crying. Edla is, you know, she's howling. Now, he runs inside the cave. When he went inside the cave, he saw that Mrs. Moore and Edla, both of them, had already left for home. Okay, what was the reason? He did not know, because they did not inform Aziz that they are leaving. Something had happened, but what was that? Mr. Aziz was not able to understand at all. Mr. Aziz did not say anything here because he was contemplating on the reason, okay, what it could be. Now, when he went back home, he was arrested by police. Now, for what reason, we will get to understand now. But till now, Aziz knew that he has not done anything wrong. Now, here, policeman says that he had tried to molest Edla, okay, Miss Edla. So that is why he is being arrested. But Mr. Aziz denies that I did not do anything. And for English people who are already hated Indians, okay, they have got a chance to fuel the hatred that they had in their mind. So Britishers, okay, whoever were nearby Adla, okay, they tried to instigate her more, and they believed that Indians, all right, black people are attracted towards white people. That is why Mr. Aziz molested um, Edla. Nobody believed this. Indians supported Mr. Aziz and hired a very good lawyer, and Britishers supported their team, and of course, entire law was in their hand. Judges were theirs. Then comes British officers, so they cannot think about the justice will be given to them. See, everything was explained to the court that inside the cave Edla had accused Mr. Aziz of kissing her. Okay, but it was not actually that, because she was scared, and because it was very dark inside the cave, and Aziz was there behind her. She thought that this was done by Mr. Aziz, but we readers know that because of the question of Edla, he had come out of the cave before. Okay, before only. Now, giving the charge, putting the charge on Aziz is arbitrary, because it depends upon nature also, what kind of nature is of that particular person. If he wants to molest somebody, then not only he doesn't require any darkness. All right. So what I want to tell you is that Mr. Aziz was not of bad mentality, evil mentality. So we can trust him, because throughout the novel we see him as a gentleman. Okay, so here whatever he did, that was that is to be appreciated, because Aziz firmly said that no, I did not do anything wrong to Edla. In this quote there was only one thing positive, and that was Indian people were towards Mr. Aziz, and even the judge. Okay, judge was Indian, and he supported Mr. Aziz by saying that it might be because of hallucination, because of fear. You must have hallucinated something, and it is not Mr. Aziz who could do such kind of nonsense thing. See, friends, in this crisis period also, Mr. Aziz was lucky enough to get the support of Mrs. Moore and Fielding. Okay, Mr. Fielding. So these two English people were in favor of Mr. Aziz, because they knew Mr. Aziz in and out. See, Ronnie was very much unhappy because his mother, that is Mrs. Moore, supported Mr. Aziz, an Indian. So what he does, he sends his mother to England, but on the way, she dies because of her ill health. Meanwhile, Adla also realizes that it could be a hallucination and not actual molestation, because everybody is believing in Mr. Aziz, so she should also believe. So she gives benefit of doubt and withdraws the case against Mr. Aziz. See, even after the withdrawal of the case, Mr. Aziz was not at peace, because the kind of humiliation he had to go through, okay, till the time the case was on, he was not able to forget that. Therefore, he becomes slightly depressed also, all right, and he hated Britishers more than he used to do before. Now we see Mr. Aziz was not happy at Chandarpur, therefore, he leaves the place and goes to a Hindu kingdom. The name of the place is Mau, and here gradually he was forgetting what he had to endure in these days. Okay, so gradually he was becoming okay, and suddenly he found some guests in his house. Stella, Ralph, and Fielding. All these three people. Okay, Fielding, I have already told that he was the principal of a government college. His wife's name is Stella, all right, and Ralph is the brother of Stella. So these three people becomes the guest to Mr. Aziz. Now, when he comes here, okay, he wants to have, relationship like earlier, good friendship like earlier with Mr. Aziz, but that did not happen, because, when Mr. Aziz was going through court cases, all right, it was Mr. Fielding who had who was closer to Edla, all right, and she had left the side of fiance. She did not want to get married, and it was Fielding who was closer to Edla. And Mr. Aziz thought that these Britishers, instead of supporting Mr. Fielding is taking side of Edla. All right. So after the case, when Edla goes to England, all right, because of some other task, Mr. Fielding also goes to England. But Mr. Aziz thinks that he is going after Edla. Okay, so what he thinks, 1 plus 1, 2, he makes in his mind, and then he starts hating Mr. Fielding. Okay, now there is no friendship as such. So that incident had happened. Now for some reason, even Mr. Aziz had to go to England, and there he thought that it is Edla and Fielding who got married, but it was not the case. Okay, Fielding had married sister of Edla, so his misunderstanding was cleared when he reaches to England, and now they became friends again, but the bonding was not as strong as before because he was a Britisher and that cannot be changed. And Mr. Aziz, who had faced these sorts of tragic tragedies in his life, even he was not able to accept Mr. Fielding in a wholeheartedly. So what happens, there was a rift between both of them, and that is going to remain till the time Britishers leave India and go to their country, that is Britain. So if that will happen, Mr. Fielding and Mr. Aziz is going to have a healthy relationship, but if not, then there will be a difference between two. So with this note, the um, novel ends. Okay, so we will keep it till here for today. We will meet in our next video. So till then, please keep revising the novel that we do on everyday basis.